Finally, something actually happened on Obi Wan Kenobi. We are 5 episodes into this limited series that more than likely will have another season, and I've honestly been really mixed. I'm glad to have Ewan back at the role of Kenobi, and I like the performance by Vivian Lyra Blair as Princess Leia. Some scenes are pretty neat, mostly really anything with Vader, and outside of that, not much has really happened of note. A lot of it feels like it might be building to something, and finally, episode 5, we got that. The episode works a bit like a siege episode as Kenobi, Leia, Tala, and gang are fleeing at a base in the Path Smugglers Network in the hopes of returning Leia to Alderaan. Unfortunately for them, as shown in the previous episode, Reva has attached a beacon that has led Vader and company right to them. Throughout the episode, we see sprinkles of prequel material including Anakin and Obi-Wan dueling while Obi-Wan is giving a lesson. Here we get to see 2 different psychologies of warfare, life, and what would soon be the outcome of this friendship. The writing here is great, and actually does a good job of setting up the events of A New Hope with Kenobi and Vader's final fight on the Death Star.
You're a great warrior, Anakin, but you'll need to prove yourself as your undoing.
For me, up to this point, Reva hasn't really worked as a character. I haven't really found her all that interesting, and most of her scenes are just kind of her yelling. Here we get some good character development, with her being the unsurprising youngling Vader would murder. We learn her true plan through a conversation with Kenobi that she is trying to lure Vader into a trap and ultimately destroy him. I mean, props to her for such a cute idea, but it doesn't take a mastermind to figure out that's probably a bad idea.
You're not serving him, are you? You're hunting him.
Vader finally shows up as the people on the planet attempt to run, only for Vader to go absolutely ham and rip the damn ship out of the air. We did see something similar to this in The Force Unleashed, but seeing it in this capacity was awesome. Ultimately, the Proto-Rebels escape with Kenobi fearful of the events to come. The escape was costly with Tala dying. It was a bit expected, but I did kind of like her character in the bits we've got so far. But she did go out in a really neat way, so I'll give her that. This leads us to perhaps the most awesome, most badass part of the entire series thus far, and that is a confrontation between Reva and Vader. The fight, if you really want to call it that, is really Vader playing with Reva, who is completely outmatched with him as he spends most of the fight without a lightsaber. It's probably the best looking fight the show has done, doing very little to cut between the shots and just letting the fight flow naturally. It's also neat to see Vader's growth and the amount of power and patience he has developed with the Force. It's a fun game for Vader, but eventually he calls it quits and defeats Reva in time for his fish food. Vader then reveals that he knew she was a youngling the entire time.
Did you really believe I did not see it, youngling?
Thus reinforcing how cool he is. We also get to see a reappearance of the Grand Inquisitor, so Rebels canon stays intact. How is he alive? I'm not really sure, and I really don't care, but I'm just glad he is. Episode 5 finally felt like a deserving Star Wars episode. No, not because Vader once again was a madman, but because we finally got to see a psychological battle between the 2 characters. From the get-go, the series should have been focused on Kenobi's psychological battle with Vader, and here we get that.
Your weapon's gone. It's over.
Your need for victory, Anakin, it blinds you.
While the prequel age scenes might not be exactly fooling for the actors, no offense Hayden, it's still done well enough and really reinforces what is to come. My only frustration is that it should have been this from early on. Regardless, it was a good episode and leaves me interested for what's to come. If you're interested in hearing me talk more about Star Wars, click on this video here and I'll see you on the next one.